ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Heavily Contested Podcast, the podcast where,
oh, say, can you see? Is the Super Bowl time? I'm done with my song. But it's in Inglewood, it's LA, we got the rappers, we got everybody, I'm excited, man.
the most bittersweet moment in the NFL season because it's the biggest game of the season and also the last game of the season. Bittersweet moment. But before we get to the big game, let's talk about yesterday was the NFL honors. And we went over, or we were able to see who won the final awards of the season, and then we ourselves went over the awards and decided who we believed should have won, or if the right person just won overall in the first place.
Maybe it was the right person.
Maybe it was the right person. So let's go with the smallest awards first. Coach of the Year. Went to Mike Vrabel, coach of the Tennessee Titans. Now, he did lead the Tennessee Titans to the number 1 overall seed. A seed that, even though despite all the injuries, they still got, but they kind of backed their way into it. Now, do you believe he was the...
Hell no.
Yeah, okay.
Hell no.
But who do you think...
Mike Vrabel? Do we not know who Rich Versace is?
Oh, no.
Listen to me right now. Lost the starting receiver. Great talent in the damn league. He was about to go crazy. Gone. Head coach. Gone. He said he's doing a bunch of bad things, bad mentality, everything. John Gruden. Gone. Damon Arnett. Then on top of that, we lost the biggest name of our entire franchise in John Madden. Everything happened with the Raiders.
Well, you feel like that's a direct hit on the Raiders franchise itself.
But it's still, it's just a bunch of things happening within the organization. The GM gets fired. All these things are going on.
That happened after the season.
What you mean? What I know? Listen, there's no reason that the Raiders should have made the playoffs for all the drama that was going around this team.
It's not even your coach anymore, bro.
But he led this team, and every single player, they said that they rallied behind him. He's a big reason why they were so motivated to keep going in the season. And I believe the Raiders were not talented enough to make it to the playoffs. It was their heart and how much they wanted to play in each game. That's why they won. So I believe it was Rich Versace.
That's actually a great argument. That's actually a great argument. Rich Versace did a great job of inspiring his players. Now, the only reason I don't want to give it to Rich is because I also think he inherited a lot of what John Gruden already had there. In the end, it's not like Rich came in, brought in a new offensive scheme or defensive scheme or probably a new style of how they did practices or anything like that. He just took John Gruden's playbook. But what Rich Versace needs to be given credit for, which you said perfectly, the way he motivated his team. And that's great as a head coach. If players can rally behind a coach like that, you deserve a lot of credit. And Rich does. But when it comes to Coach of the Year, I don't want to give it to him. Because also he wasn't coaching for the majority of the year. And a lot of those Raiders wins early on came from John Gruden himself. But Zach Taylor is definitely Coach of the Year in my eyes for the Cincinnati Bengals.
And why do you think that?
Because where this team was expected to be, having the same Super Bowl odds as the Jets. And this doesn't even have to include the playoff run because these are regular season awards. But the fact that the Bengals went from being predicted to be worse in the division, having one of the worst O-lines in football, a team that last year, how many wins did they have? 4? 4 wins last year?
Probably.
And won the division? Not to mention all the stuff that they did in the playoffs after. Zach Taylor brought in a great offensive scheme. And also, and this can also, head coaches get a lot of credit for the entirety of what, maybe assistant coaches do. But I feel like if it was given to Zach Taylor, it also gives credit to their D coordinator for the Bengals.
Yeah, because they don't have a lot of talent on that defense.
It's not I wouldn't say it's not a lot of talent, but it's not standout.
Yeah, there's no big names really on there besides Jesse Bates.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson.
He's a great player, but he's not a big name like a Chandler Jones or a Von Miller, Aaron Donald, T.J. Watt.
Okay, that's the name. Lou Anarumo. He has to be given credit because of the second half adjustments, though. The Bengals are
Adjustments to the adjustments.
the Bengals are one of the best second half teams in football, and we saw it in many of their playoff games where it was a completely different half. They did it twice to Kansas City. The fact that happened twice shows that it's not a fluke, right? They shut down that Kansas City offense to 3 points in the first game, and 3 points in the second game in the second half. Quite literally, Mahomes was in a box.
Yep.
Had him figured out.
Locked up.
But overall, the entire coaching staff of the Bengals needs to be given credit, and I also do believe that's Zach Taylor as well, because you can tell these players rally around him.
Yeah.
These players love him, and it's a big accomplishment what he did with this team. Yeah. So I do believe Zach Taylor needs to be given that award. Mike Vrabel, yes, I know. I know record comes into play, and the Titans did have injuries with Derrick Henry and all that, but I also don't think. I think it was more of a favorable schedule.
They had an easy schedule.
Mixed with a little bit of help from other teams.
Yeah.
You know, they were lucky the Chiefs only caught fire there at the end. You know, they were lucky a lot of other teams kind of fell apart.
They're literally one of the best teams to not make it far, right? They didn't make it far.
Nope.
Then on top of that, they didn't even have a great record going into the playoffs.
It was 5 losses. 5 losses as a 1 seed is
as for a number 1 seed,
that's
like
crazy.
5.
Yeah.
So I just don't feel like it's really.
Yeah, I get you.
That deserving.
Next one. I don't think there's arguments for here on this one. Comeback player of the year.
No.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody else. Dak Prescott or Nick Bosa.
Great. I mean, arguments can be made.
Not for Dak Prescott. I would say more for Nick Bosa.
Yeah, Nick. Well, here's the thing. You got to determine the severity of the injury, as well as how they came back. Dak Prescott actually had a very good year. Deserves to be credited for a very good comeback season, having one of his career best. But I guess when you want to compare injuries, his was just an ankle injury.
It's not.
It was a broken ankle injury.
It just looks terrible, but it's not that bad.
It's not. Joe, and here's the reason why Joe Burrow gets it over Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa had a great season, by the way. But the reason I give it to Joe Burrow is because Joe Burrow's injury was a full knee reconstruction.
Yep.
And his happened middle to late of the season last year. So not only did he have to recover in a short time to be, not even come back like later, he came back week 1, which is insane to even happen in the first place. He got his injury December, comes back in, August, ready to play.
And I think it's a lot different because with Dak, he was already playing on that level, and then he got injured. Joe Burrow, we didn't see anything out of Joe Burrow before he got injured. Yeah. There wasn't really much.
It was a solid, it was like an okay rookie season. We didn't see.
There wasn't enough sample in there. Like, they gave you little sprinkles.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No one saw this coming, right?
Yeah, and then out of nowhere, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Like, huge step up. He has to be given a lot of credit, because not only is this barely his second year, he had to come off of his second year on had to come off of his first year with a fully torn ACL. I think it was a couple other ligaments as well.
His whole knee it's a whole new knee.
It was a whole knee reconstruction, and the fact that he came back and played even better is amazing. So Joe Burrow definitely gets that. Now these two are very obvious. Let's just Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jamar Chase. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Mike Parsons.
They're both. I mean, I don't understand how Jamar Chase wasn't unanimous, but
Dude, I'm never gonna forgive the NFL or anyone really on social media for even considering Mac Jones in the first place.
Hell no.
Remember that moment?
He broke?
Remember that moment where like the Patriots are looking good and everyone was thinking Mac Jones should have been offense? Like what? No offense.
I understood the conversation.
Maybe,
but not thinking that he's better than Jamar Chase.
No, because Mac Jones was just a facilitator, kind of just in a great system. Jamar Chase,
he took this team to the next level.
He was that final missing piece and broke records. He just broke Justin Jefferson's record last year.
Yeah.
So it's good to see a receiver finally get some recognition. Also, Micah Parsons.
I think we already knew that. He's a middle linebacker that has double-digit sacks. He has an interception this year.
Yeah. And the amount of tackles he's
80 plus tackles.
Yeah.
And
doing this as a middle linebacker, by the way.
Yeah, and he's a rookie.
And
he's could have won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's probably second in contention with that. Yeah. But
as a rookie,
just as a do-it-all guy, for defense, he definitely has to be given that award. Next one, T.J. Watt for Defensive Player of the Year.
This one was kind of unanimous too, I believe.
They had to. I mean, this one had to be.
He was in really close last year, but it was like an
Truthfully, I still don't believe he should have won last year because you got to understand. Yeah, T.J. Watt had 15 sacks, but Aaron Donald last year I think had like 12 sacks.
Yeah, and he's
from a
team.
interior alignment position where he's always constantly double, tripled, and we've seen him quadruple team sometimes.
Yeah.
But when T.J. Watt has a record-breaking season like this, following it up
You got to give it to him.
Yeah, and the thing is too is there wasn't a defensive player that kind of had a season that was close to it.
Nobody.
In a sense.
Trayvon Diggs had a lot of interceptions.
A lot of interceptions.
But the yards he was giving up made him kind of like ooh.
They had to bring that because he would have been the next argument probably had he.
Yeah.
And Trayvon Diggs has a lot of potential still. I know people give it. I think he's becoming a point now where he's kind of overhated.
Yeah, he kind of has to. He has to learn how to be aggressive, but learn how to be conservative too. You gotta find a balance.
Gotta find a good balance.
Because always being aggressive, that's how the double moves happen, and
that's how you get beat sometimes. But I think people are really forgetting that this is only Trayvon Diggs' second season, and I think people are starting to underrate the idea of how valuable interceptions still are for Trayvon. But we're getting off topic. That's Trayvon Diggs. Either way, T.J. Watt deserved this. He tied the all-time sack record this season.
I wish
Arguably, could have beat it too. There's that argument about them not calling it a sack and instead calling it a tackle. But either way, T.J. Watt tied the record. There's nothing more that you can say about this guy besides the last few seasons. I think has he tallied up almost 50 sacks in the last 3 seasons?
Yep.
Or close to.
Yeah, he's definitely.
It's up there. It's like 40
to
48
or something.
40 to 50. Either way, it's an insane number for T.J. Watt, and he's showing glimpses of being better than J.J. Watt should he stay healthy.
Yeah,
definitely surpass
in a couple more seasons, guaranteed Hall of Famer, and he would definitely be considered one of the all-time greats if he keeps this up for at least 2 more seasons.
Because you already consider J.J. Watt possibly up there as one of the all-time greats, and now you say that he passes him up. It opens it up now. Offensive Player of the Year.
This is where it gets a little interesting for me.
For me too. Cooper Kupp.
No.
Who do you got?
I have very, very annoyed to say this, but I have the dude that put his team on his back, and without him, they wouldn't even have made it to the playoffs. And I'm gonna go with Jimmy Garoppolo. Deebo Samuel definitely deserves to be in this, but he's not. I have it 50-50. I have it as Deebo and Jonathan Taylor. The reason why I have Jonathan Taylor is because Carson Wentz is very similar to Jimmy G, and you don't know what the hell he's going to do when he goes out there. Mm-hmm. He might be trash. He might be good. So the Colts don't have Jonathan Taylor. Mm-hmm. They don't have a positive record. There's no way they have a positive record. Yeah. And on top of that, I don't think that they even get 6 wins because they have no offense.
Yeah. Great points, by the way. I'm disagreeing. Cooper Kupp definitely deserved Offensive Player of the Year this year. First of all, I think Deebo does have more of an argument than JT because in the end, Jonathan Taylor, while he had a very good season with a questionable quarterback at the helm, it's not like Jonathan Taylor finished the season rushing for 2,000 yards. Right? Mm-hmm. He didn't have close to a record-breaking season. He didn't go Derrick Henry-esque season this year, right? Mm-hmm. Cooper Kupp was a Triple Crown winner. Mm-hmm. Yards, receptions, touchdowns. That is a very impressive to do from a receiver position, right? Not only that, almost breaks Calvin Johnson's all-time receiving yards record. He was a couple yards short on that one, right? In the end, you can't deny what Cooper Kupp did this season, and then he just proved it later in the playoffs and showed just showed how legit he really was. It wasn't a fluke, proving that he can, dare I say, be the best receiver in the league right now. I know I've been a fan of Devontae Adams, and I've been saying Devontae Adams has been the best receiver in the league since like 2019 when people weren't even considering that. But you can't argue with the production Cooper Kupp has had. And I know people say it's out of the slot precision, but I haven't seen other slot receivers doing what Cooper Kupp's doing and putting up those numbers like Cooper Kupp. No.
Production is the biggest thing that you need out of a receiver. I don't care your biggest plays, if you have a huge highlight. Yeah. What the team needs is yards and touchdowns. Yeah. If you could do that.
And the crazy part is people at this point got to know that Stafford just loves throwing to Cooper Kupp, and there's still nothing they can do about it. Yeah. No, Cooper Kupp deserves this. This is where I get controversial, very controversial. MVP.
This is why Cooper Kupp didn't win Offensive Player of the Year. Because he's my MVP of the season. So MVP is always a quarterback award. So
if you've been following us, we definitely hate the idea of an MVP always going to a quarterback. Because it shouldn't.
And I feel like Aaron Rodgers won this award. Yes, he's had a great season.
Yeah.
But
like
no quarterback, the only quarterback that I would even consider like being in the MVP talk is Tom Brady for me. Mm-hmm. Because no other quarterback had a story. None of them had huge stats, break any records, anything like that. Cooper Kupp broke records. Mm-hmm. And he led the entire league in 3 different categories.
3 of the biggest ones, too. It's the big
The 3 ones that matter the most. Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers, cute.
Yeah, cute. Good season. It was a good season.
It was a great season. But, Derrick Henry, he had 2,000 yards.
I still think should.
Christian McCaffrey had a year where he had 1,000 and 1,000. Mm-hmm. That's an MVP to me.
Yeah, because you're doing it all for your players.
Yeah, I need somebody that has amazing stats or somebody that carries the team on their back.
You could tell, this team needed him. And yes, definitely, the Packers are nothing without Aaron Rodgers. You can definitely make that argument. But when you compare seasons, yes, I do think Cooper Kupp had a better season than Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, all those guys. But he also doesn't come to me as an MVP. You know who my MVP is. I think you already know at this point. Deebo Samuel is the... Well, you made the argument. You made the argument that you thought Deebo Samuel should have made Offensive Player of the Year. I want to take it a step further because you mentioned it earlier, though. The only reason the Niners were in the playoffs, the only reason they were in contention, the only reason they made it to the NFC Championship, truly, was because of them putting putting it on the shoulders of Deebo Samuel. And what I see as an MVP is a guy that does it all. Now, Cooper Kupp, again, Triple Crown winner, great receiver, right? But Deebo Samuel
running back and
was the entire offense, essentially.
Wide back.
Right? Yeah, wide back, that's what he called it. I like that. But he did it all. You know what I mean? 1,400 receiving yards. Almost 300 rushing yards. I think it was 8 rushing touchdowns to 5 receiving touchdowns as well. I mean, truthfully.
And he threw a touchdown.
And he threw a touchdown. But truthfully, hearing those numbers, that's insane. Frankly, that's actually insane.
1,400, so almost 1,800 yards from scrimmage.
That is insane. And the thing is, too, is you can make the argument that had Deebo started off the season the way the Niners put so much emphasis on him,
he could have broke some records.
He could have been one of the few receivers. At least he makes the argument. I don't know about that one for sure, but Deebo Samuel made the argument that he could have been the first receiver to go 1,000. Which would have been insane anyways. But either way, I mean, you can't argue the numbers Deebo Samuel put up for this team right here. Look, I got it wrong. 8 rushing touchdowns, 6 receiving touchdowns.
So yeah, 15 touchdowns on the season.
15 touchdowns on the season, 1 throwing as well. So 16 total touchdowns by Deebo Samuel. Not to mention the amount of receiving yards and rushing yards that he had. I mean, I think that encapsulates an MVP. Truly, I truly believe that. And I know Aaron Rodgers had a great season. Cooper Kupp, again, record-breaking season for Cooper Kupp. But this was a generational type player that we just saw this season. And this is a type of play now that we could see change the game a little bit.
A lot of people.
You notice how they're probably going to go with a little more of that. The smaller, thicker receivers who can take a little bit more, have a little more durability.
I think that's a player like Rondale Moore.
Yeah.
He's a player very similar to Deebo, I believe. He's kind of like a gadget player.
Yeah.
Move him around. He might play running back. Just like Cordell Patterson has been used. And I feel like Deebo...
Cordell's the most gadget-esque player.
Yeah. I could easily see Deebo winning a high award next year. If he keeps it up, stays healthy.
Yeah.
He easily will win Offensive Player of the Year. But I could see MVP if the NFL decided that no quarterback played good that year. But,
if the NFL finally looked past just the quarterback position for MVP.
Yeah.
But yes, and the thing is too, is what I love about Deebo Samuel is you can make the Rondale Moore are gadget players like Deebo, but no one does it like Deebo. The reason why is because Debo is faster than most receivers, and he's also bigger than most. He could take those hits.
He's built like a running back.
I mean, he's built like a running back, yeah, and he reads like a running back too. The way he shoots the gaps is very like just running back acts. You know, he's patient, finds his gap, makes those right cuts. I mean, it's impressive to see for Debo. So for an MVP, I think Debo Samuel should at the least should have been recognized for that position with what he did for this now. Because you got to recognize like how much that team relied on Debo.
Yeah.
And you see it every single game the way they relied on him.
Yeah. I think also a player I want to mention is Kadarius Toney. He's going to be very similar to Debo as well.
You think so?
Yeah, but the Giants are just trash. But yeah, Debo, we're going to see next year.
Yeah, if Debo follows it up, he definitely, at some point, they can't ignore him any longer.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, I can't get mad at Aaron Rodgers.
No, I agree with every single pick. Like, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, he won?
Yeah, like, that was like blasphemy.
No.
You know, I wasn't left flabbergasted.
Everyone, I knew Aaron Rodgers was going to win.
Yeah.
I'm just, if I was the leader of the NFL, if I was Roger Goodell, I would have these people.
Well, really, like, the media, too. It has to come down to the whole entire media. They got to see things differently. But, yeah, like, there's players that they need to look at these. How's there not been a defensive MVP yet? Like, how can you not say Aaron Donald has been claimed to be the best player in the NFL for a couple seasons, not winning MVP?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But either way, that goes into a whole nother argument.